Hi, and welcome to the Unhinged History Podcast, the podcast where two compulsive nut jobs are going to just mainline all the history stories we can get, find the craziest little bits of nuance that really corrupt the search history, and then report back to each other with the stories we've only recently learned. I'm host one, I'm Theresa, and that is host two.
I'm Angie.
Mhm.
I say that like it's a surprise.
Right. Um, and Angie, I actually, episode 155, I'm going to do something brand new. I'm going to make you take your headphones off. Bet you didn't see that coming.
This isn't new. She's lying to you. They're off.
Okay, so I've got another story suggested by Pandahime07. Pandahime, little did you realize this on TikTok that this was going to be the gift that kept giving. My sources are Atlas Obscura, Why Physicists Tried to Put a Ferret in a Particle Accelerator by Jen Pinkowski, and IFL Science. Felicia, the diaper-wearing ferret, was sent into a particle accelerator for science by Rachel Fennell.
Hey, she is. I can't look at you when you have tell me to take my headphones off because then I can try to read your lips.
Oh, you wouldn't, they wouldn't have made sense.
Love this for me.
Okay, so I want you to think back February of 1971. You were just a
Okay.
speck in your mother's eye. Um, there's physicists at the National Accelerator Laboratory in Batavia, Illinois. I want to say Bavaria, and I really know that it wasn't. So that's why you saw me like stutter and just kind of like panic. They've begun testing the biggest machine in the world.
Okay.
Okay, it is a ring-shaped 20 billion electron volt proton synchrotron particle accelerator.
Accelerator. Yes. Go.
So this is how you get superpowers. Now, the stakes are incredibly high. There's a man, he is the NAL director, Bob Wilson. He's told the Department of Energy that he could get it running within 5 years for just a cool $250 million
In 71.
in 71.
Okay.
And
That would be like $250 billion dollars today.
it feels like it, yeah. Now they're 4 years into this 5 year mark.
Okay.
He's been burning money like you wouldn't believe. And there is a 4 mile long stainless steel tube that was successfully pieced together on schedule, on schedule. And they're running into a perplexing problem. The damn thing won't start.
They plug it in.
And here's where you get that TikTok sound. I know what's wrong with it. Ain't no gas in it. Um, So first, I'm going to tell you a little bit of background. The NAL, which is today it's known as Fermilab, um, it's named after a dude who's a physicist named Enrico Fermi. Now, there's a chain of accelerators. There is, I don't know how much of this. I'm going to say all of this, and it's going to sound like I know what I'm talking about. Like I've done a ton of research. Like I have a BS degree, not for bullshit, but for Bachelor of Science.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm
We
English
got you.
major, so recognize that I'm reading a script. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Now, there is a linear accelerator, a booster, a recycler ring, and a main ejector ring. Now, that linear accelerator or that LINAC provides a proton beam that kind of jumpstarts things with an initial jolt of energy. The booster accelerates it, and then the
Okay.
recycler batches it into groups of protons for a more intense beam. And then the main ejector ring zaps the beam around tens of thousands of times to nearly the speed of light.
I like this.
Okay. Now, the particles are then set to various testing facilities where they're smashed together against a fixed target. This is the resulting collision, right? And it's observed by the particle detector. And this reveals the interiors, and sometimes it creates exotic particles. And exotic particles just sounds like a strip bar for scientists.
And if it's not, it should be.
You heard it here first, but we trademarked it. So We just want a drink named after us. We're not even going to take royalties.
Yeah, pretty much. I would like mine to glow. Thank you.
Oh, I like what
Hmm.
you're doing. I mean,
Yeah,
by glow, it could
it's
just be
themed.
served in the radium glass,
Okay, it'll glow.
right? I mean, I'm just trying to help out. Um, Now, back in 71, the design a little bit different. For one thing, because apparently you and I both know how these things are designed. We've got the models on our desks. We've built
Yeah,
them since we were children.
out
Um,
of Legos.
yeah, why not? Now, the design apparently back in the day was a bit different. The injector and recycling rings, they didn't exist. What it did, what basically what did exist was there was a 4 mile stretch of the accelerator. Like this thing just went on and on and on. And that was called the main ring. And it was outfitted with magnets, which would guide the beam through the accelerator. So there's 774 dipole magnets, which would steer the beam, which I didn't know you could, but people smarter than I. And then there's 240 quadruple magnets, not maggots, and that would
I
focus the
was
beam.
like, wait, this is an added feature.
Yeah,
Um,
and suddenly we're at a body farm, and now we're getting into true crime, which is where I shine.
this
Um,
is the story I was not expecting today.
you're welcome. I promise you, it's going to go a very weird direction here shortly. Now, the magnets that I'm talking about, these suckers aren't the ones you hold your grocery list up on the fridge. Um, each magnet is 20 feet long and weighs nearly 13 tons.
Okay.
So, bit industrial. Now,
Yeah, you gotta buy them on eBay, not Amazon.
at first, two of the magnets failed when fiberglass insulation around their coils broke. And that soon just became two in one day. And over the next several months, the team replaced 350 magnets.
That feels like a lot.
This is a bit unfortunate, if you will. So they did this thing where, like basically every time they do it, they would send this beam out, and as it would go to accelerate, the magnets would short out. And then that's when Ryuji Yamada, he is apparently a physicist there, he realized the cause, that there's metal slivers that were left behind when they cut it into vacuum tubes.
Okay, so like speed bumps.
But just little tiny slivers. It just wasn't fully cleaned up. There's just some crumbs
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
counter.
Yeah, okay.
And so when the magnets are excited to a higher field, he writes this, not me thinking about it, they're pulled inside the magnet gap, and so they stand up and stop the beam because
Okay.
they're just
That
magnetic
sort of makes
material.
sense, yeah.
But how do they get the slivers out?
A big ass vacuum
That's 4 miles long. No, but
with a
unfortunately,
very long extension cord.
here's where Bob enters the picture.
Okay.
Bob Sheldon, he's the laboratory worker. He lived near Oxford in the UK. He's famous apparently for his entrepreneurial skills. He's hired by a manager at NAL to be something of a miracle worker. Basically, if something goes awry, if things are too expensive, he just fixes it. He just finds a solution. He's the fixer. He's the Olivia Pope of the
Love it.
accelerator. And so he sits down and he goes, "You know what? I got an idea." And something you should know about Bob, because he's from Yorkshire, he's very aware of hunting.
Okay.
Not only is he afraid of, or not familiar with hunting, he's familiar with using ferrets to flush out rabbits by just sending them into burrows.
Okay.
Okay. And he's thinking, a ferret would fit nicely into this hole that's roughly the size of a tennis ball. And I bet it would have no problem just disappearing in through this man-made burrow.
Maybe I don't know what ferrets look like,
Long
but
weasels, super cute.
yeah, 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 okay, I
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
ferrets look
yeah,
like then.
yeah.
I am questioning if you're sending the ferret in, what is his fur gonna pick up the magnet shards?
Well, that's a good question. Because he's thinking they could probably, I mean, they're like, you could get it to tow a rope and then you could run something through it. Like you could do all kinds of stuff, right? But you
Okay.
initially got to get in there.
Okay.
So
So 4 mile carrot on a string.
basically, yeah. So they get a
Okay.
ferret that arrived by special delivery from the Wild Game and Fur Farm in Gaylord, Minnesota. Um,
Of
she's
course.
15 inches long. She's the smallest ferret they had. She's got brown fur she's brown and black, I should say, except for she's got some white patches on her face.
Okay, I love this.
Yep. And they call her Felicia.
Okay, the
Now,
episode is going to be called Bye, Felicia.
I don't I agree to your terms. Now, remember how I told you how this guy like he's just the fixer?
Mm-hmm.
His solution for these magnets that I'm sure aren't cheap, um, his solution, Felicia, costs $35.
Okay.
Basically, our boy just rolled up to PetSmart and was like, I'll take her, put her in the box.
Thank you so much.
And he's thinking we'll just push her into the hole and she's going to find the source of the blockage. But then everybody goes, but she poops, right? Don't you notice those little black things in the box? Like, what are we going to do with those? She can't poop in there. And so they're going through all kinds of things. Apparently, there's a report on the website that talked about the idea of using laxatives on this poor thing before they send her in the tube. You got to make sure she's squeaky clean before we put her in there. Clear her out.
Okay. Right.
And then they ended up solving the problem in a bit different of a way. They went with diapers.
That was going to be my suggestion.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Well, where were you in 71? You could have solved this
I don't,
faster.
I was still just a diamond speck in my dad's eye. I wasn't even around for another 13 years.
Look, I'm just trying to help you. Now, they ended up putting a custom collar around Felicia's neck and the diaper around her rear. And then they just popped her in the thing and they attached a string to her collar, I should say that, so that the goal is that she's going to run the string from one end of the tube to the other.
Okay.
So, and then they would just attach a cleansing dip swab on the string and just pull it right on through.
Okay.
I mean, I say pull it right on through, but if it's 4 miles long, that's quite a bit of pulling it through the pulley system.
Yeah, we'll see Felicia at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Small problem. Felicia refused to enter the main ring of the vacuum tube because, I mean, she
D
gets there. It's narrow. There is no light. It is 4 miles of darkness.
Yeah, maybe I don't know, shine a flashlight through it.
I mean, you can't, it's going to take a while to bend that light, right? It's 4 miles long.
Oh
It's
yeah,
in
I
a
guess
ring.
that's true. It's a circle. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
But at the end of the day, she pops up. She's tired. She's perfectly healthy though. So this results in her recon mission really not turning up any of these blockages. So it's back to the drawing board for these mathematicians. Okay, so they teach Felicia, our little ferret Felicia, to scamper through some progressively longer and longer tunnels. And they get her built up to the point where she's able to tackle a 300-foot section that's going to be joined together to make the Mason Lab tubes.
Okay.
And this comes from Time magazine.
I love this.
So this was quite the endeavor.
A
Everyone,
sensation, if you will.
everyone is focused on Felicia.
Is this gonna be look at Felicia while we do something over here?
And look over here, look over here. We wipe out all this orphanage, the
Yeah.
smoldering ruins of the nunnery.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
no.
yeah.
Thankfully, no.
Okay.
Thankfully, no. This is a surprising. This is probably the last positive story I'm going to tell for the next 6 weeks.
Cool. For the
So,
next 6 weeks, there will be a guest host.
yeah, I just wanted to do something lighthearted. So when you'd be like, "But why?" I'll be like, "But I gave you the ferret. Do you remember the
You got
ferret?
Felicia.
You
Okay.
got the ferret.
Okay. I
Cuddle the
hope you have
memories of your
something
ferret."
positive in 7 weeks.
Possibly. Now, so after her first run, she emerges. She's a little tired, a little bemused, but she's quite healthy, right? And oh, nope, that was actually from the other thing. Okay, but when she
You got two sets of notes going on right there?
You know what? Did I mention I am so tired?
I got you, babe. I
So
got you.
tired. Like, I went to bed hours later, and my body said, you know what you need? You need to wake up an hour earlier. That'll solve everything.
Always does. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And the
Mm-hmm.
coffee just laughed and said, you put too much trust into me. Your faith is misplaced, my daughter. Now, so when Felicia had first come out of the tubes, this was the one thing they had noticed that she had sparks of dust and steel. So like they're like, oh my God, we were right, kind of deal, right? I think that's ultimately where I'm gonna
Okay.
go. I'm not even gonna edit that out because I think that that was the key point I was trying to get to when I got lost,
She's well, but she's covered in sparks and dust.
or specks of dust and steel.
Yeah, okay,
Not
specks of dust,
she,
sorry.
yeah, she wasn't necessarily sparking herself.
Oh, you know,
She
it's funny, I
wasn't
didn't even take it that
Pikachu.
way. I took it as like she was like sparkling, like it was the metallic, like,
Oh, I like that. She's just glitter, just
yeah,
machine
that's
glitter.
how I took it.
Okay, great. Um, so she ends up becoming a kind of laboratory pet and mascot
Good for her.
because she basically did her job, right? Now, they do go on to say that the media catches wind of her escapades and that, you know, even though she would end up doing a total of 7 successful runs, Time magazine wonders if she's ever or if she should be rewarded with a mate. And the
Girl
unofficial
had a job. She was single. She was happy. Time, stay out of it.
an unnamed official responded, if Felicia became pregnant, she might not fit through the tubes. Which I'm just like, all right, sure. Which means we can't think about maternity care, even for a ferret.
I was just gonna say, so we are fat shaming a ferret now.
And we're not going to hold their job. She can come back after she deals with the litter.
Give her her maternity leave.
But hey, it was 71, and we haven't come a hell of a long way since, so this checks.
I think ferrets should be the new mascot for feminine empowerment.
Don't put me in that tube. Um, now, there is a Fermilab archivist named Valerie Higgins. She's also a historian. She goes on to say that Felicia was probably never likely in any danger during her runs, that the sections she ran through were basically under construction and they didn't have any power running through them. So it's not like there were radiation issues.
Okay.
Now, apparently, as far as getting stuck or suffocation goes, that they were just hoping and relying on her instinct to explore the tunnels. So they didn't think that she'd go down a tunnel that was a little too small.
Is it even possible for her to go down a tunnel that's a little bit too small?
Given the fact that I did get stuck in a child's play tube at Burger King at one point in my life, I don't know. I would hope that I'm smarter than a ferret, but
I'm not
perhaps.
gonna ask you to elaborate, but I really want you to elaborate. Yeah, I sure do.
Anyhow, moving right along.
Yeah, okay.
The
Rude.
NAL staff, they end up loving Felicia. Again, she's the mascot, right? Reports say that she was fed chicken, liver, fish heads, raw hamburger, just a ferret's delight, a smorgasbord of treats.
Okay. Love this for her.
And that some employees would take her home for a night when the mink farm that she would routinely bunk at, if they didn't have room for her, she would come home like the class pet.
I would assume they made room for her there at the lab. I love this class pet traveling home, though.
I mean, I'm assuming it was like, look, we want to make sure she's got 24-hour care. The weekend's a bit rough, so she's got to go home with somebody.
That checks. Okay.
Meanwhile, there is an engineer named Hans Katsky, and he created what he called a magnetic ferret, and that would be to get the debris out of the ring. So he creates a bunch of mylar discs and connects them to a stainless steel rod, and then puts that on a cable. This is the equivalent of the string that she had tied around her collar. And then they put in a metal, they put a magnet on the end of that, right? So that they could push it through with compressing air and kind of clean everything out. Um, Apparently, just by over engineering it. Once they figured out what was breaking all the magnets, then they knew how to fix it. So with just 12 tries, they could make it through the entire ring, and that this would clean the whole vacuum pipe. It didn't do it perfectly, but it did a good enough job.
Okay.
Maybe Felicia could have done better if they'd enticed her to, but they didn't, right? And this ended up kind of working because over the next several months, the team was able to amp up the energy levels without shorting out the system. And on March 1st, 1972, they got the accelerator to reach the target energy of 200 BeVs or BEVs. I don't, again, not a scientist.
Okay.
So they, Felicia ends up going into the semi-retirement. She spends most of her time as a pet on the mink farm, which feels like a bad place for a ferret to be. You look too much like
Yeah.
the merchandise.
Yeah.
But one night the following spring, she's at the home of NAL employee Charles Crows and she falls ill. Crows, because she's beloved, takes her to the vet the very next day, and under medical care, she briefly rallies, but then within a couple of days, She's died on March 9th, 1972. And
Oh,
she ends up having an autopsy, and this revealed that she had a ruptured abscess in her intestinal tract.
that's
And
wild.
right now, the Village Crier, apparently a newspaper, noted that it was planned that Felicia's body will be stuffed and mounted to be displayed permanently as a symbol of the early NAL development.
A taxidermied
I think
ferret.
taxidermy, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But crazy thing, remember that archivist and historian at the NAL? Um,
Hmm.
she's never found any evidence that that happened. Nobody seems to recall if she was taxidermied, and they've tried to track down the people who worked with Felicia, looking for more information about her life after death, and there's no luck. Many of them have passed away themselves. Um, so maybe there's just a taxidermied ferret in some broom closet.
I think it's up on somebody's mantle with the bat hat.
Yeah,
Um,
Charles Croce took it home one last time, never brought her
yeah.
back.
It's in somebody's shoebox under their bed.
Yeah, and there's jokes about, well, if it's hidden somewhere on a deep dark shelf, and Higgins says it seems very unlikely. I would love if I found that, but there's not too many corners, and at this point that somebody hasn't been to. Basically, she's like, look, we've explored every nook, every cranny, we've gone through everything twice, we've Marie Kondoed this bitch over and over again. We'd
And
have
we can't
found it.
find her.
Yeah.
Maybe they just had a little burial for her there on the property and like said a few words in a moment of peace, you know?
I mean, quite possibly. But I mean, basically the lab runs quite a bit. But I do have a photo of our girl.
Oh my God, she's so cute. Okay, it is a black and white image, and she is coming out, I think, of like one of the tunnels, but her little paws are on the ledge, and her upper body is coming out, and she's just looking at the camera like, "What's up?"
Yeah, I
And
mean,
she has the cutest little face. Like her nose is black, her snout is white, and then right behind it for like an inch is black, and then it's white, and then it's black.
it's a little bullseye.
Like, yeah, it's a bullseye. The copier ran out of ink.
Yeah. But I
She's
mean,
so cute.
it is just the craziest little story.
I love her.
Yeah.
I
So the
Wow.
the titles you didn't get that I was just like they were just wild and wouldn't make sense. Why physicists tried to put a ferret in a particle accelerator, or Felicia the diaper-wearing ferret was sent into a particle accelerator for science.
Those were all great, and thank you for hiding it from me because the whole time you're talking about a particle accelerator, I'm like, what is Bob gonna do?
Yeah. Bob's got a problem with magnets. I can't wait to see where this goes.
You know what's funny is they solved the problem. Like, okay, they used her, and then the guy that creates the tool literally creates another version of her.
Yeah. Yeah, but one
right?
that could be a little different. There was okay, so there
Yeah.
was a podcast I listened to, and I didn't write it down. I should have, but they got the like obviously Bob went to grew up in a hunting area, but apparently Felicia wasn't the first ferret. There was a ferret in New Zealand that was faced with a similar challenge, and they lured him, I'm assuming male ferret, to go through the thing by like taking meat at an air compressor to like push the smell of like meat where they wanted him to go. So he was like, "Oh, dinner. I'm heading
You
towards the
didn't follow it.
barbecue."
I love that. So here's what I was thinking. This is wild. Okay, so they stick a ferret in a machine to try to clean the machine,
Yeah,
and then our girl, the ferret, dies of an abscess in her intestines that could
is
have
another
needed.
tube. Yeah,
Yeah, another set of like cleaning could have helped.
yeah. Wouldn't that have? Where's the ferret for the ferret? Is what I'm hearing you ask.
Yeah, it's like ferret inception is what I'm
Today's nightmares
picturing.
have been brought to you by Angie.
Sorry. And when I say that, I'm not very.
This checks. This checks.
We do what we can, right? I'm gonna tell you I have no clear there's no segue for me. So I'm just gonna tell you that I'm going to tell you about the 1527 sack of Rome.
Hell yes.
Okay. My sources are an article on Smart History, the sack of Rome. The darkest day in the history of the Swiss Guard. It is from the Swiss National Museum by a man called Thomas Wiebel. The sack of Rome. I didn't really use this source this time, but I'm just going to include it because I think they're cool. The EBSCO Research Center. A lovely timeline article from Wikipedia. And then the medievalist.net has an article called Hell Itself Was a More Beautiful Sight to Behold, the Sack of Rome, 1527, by Peter Kon Konsk Koniensky. Please forgive me if I say your name wrong, Peter. Um,
Peter, I'll
that
hate
said,
mail. I'll give you her personal address if you just email me at unhinged.historypod@gmail.com.
I will personally walk you to Teresa's front door.
We don't live next to each
So
other, so I will enjoy watching your location change.
it's going to be awesome. I'm going to tell you that I was originally going to do my story was going to be on the Vatican archives today. Um, but we've had a real busy last few weeks, and I don't know if my brain just couldn't comprehend it. But has it ever occurred to you that Vatican archive history is pretty much the world's history in a nutshell?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily go with the whole world, but at least the Western.
Yeah, the Western world's history is it's there. It's the whole thing. So I kept finding myself like I'd be one paragraph in and there would be three things in that paragraph that I had to go look up. And then I'd move on to the next paragraph and there'd be three more, which was like, that's a moment we love to like constantly learn those things. But I was like, this is going to take 20 episodes and Teresa's going to kill me. So I just need to pick a moment from
I
the
mean,
history of the Vatican.
look, just because any couple, and I'm going to say couple because, I feel like this is a committed relationship. Um,
Indeed.
when one of us wanders in front of a bus, um, the authorities are going to look for handprints on the back. They're going to look to see if it is mine that indeed pushed you in front of the express.
I know it's not going to be a handprint on the back from you, but rather something you secretly tied around my foot to just make me trip in front of the bus. So
So I tied your leg to the axle.
here we
Goodbye.
go. All that to say, I didn't want to leave you with 6 or 7 episodes just on the Vatican History Archive, so I chose a moment from the Vatican's history, and that is the 1527 sack of Rome, which is also going to be a huge oversimplified version. If anything that I say interests you, please go read about it because I'm sure that there's something I'm not saying that is really compelling. That said, backstory time. I'm going to try to do this as straightforward as possible and keep the names to a minimum, but I'm going to tell you it's a real awkward Thanksgiving dinner for this family because everybody's involved.
The Borgias.
Oh, everybody.
Oh,
Just
okay. All right.
okay.
All right.
So, um, we've got this little skirmish. It's called the Italian Wars, and they range from 1494 to 1559. And these Italian wars have dragged other major power players into them. So think like France, Spain, the Holy Roman Empire, and the Papal States, which at this time is a collection of states kind of in central Italy with Rome as its capital, and they border the Kingdom of Naples to the south and other powers like Florence and Milan and Venice, right? Okay, so all the major power players of the Western world are a little bit in the mix of this. And basically, it's a pretty constant state of war for quite a while. Then Giulio de' Medici becomes Pope Clement VII in 1523.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Catherine's family member.
Right. And he begins trying to navigate this sort of mess that he's inherited. And he starts forming alliances to both protect and then expand like the papal influence, right? Um, in 1526, Clement joins the League of Cognac, which is an alliance with the Kingdom of France, Pope Clement, the Republic of Venice, the Kingdom of England, the Duchy of Milan, the Republic of Genoa, and the Republic of Florence. And obviously, Florence is belonging to the Medici. And the whole goal of this alliance is to push back at the ever-growing dominance of the Habsburgs.
Oh,
And
yes. Yeah, that inbred
right,
bunch.
right. And this includes like the dominions of Charles V, primarily the Holy Roman Empire in Spain. Because basically, Clement sees Charles V as a threat to papal power. And then in 1526, this group of allies, the League, they begin hostilities by attacking the Republic of Siena. But this proves a failure and immediately shows the weakness of the troops at the Pope's disposal. So it's like, maybe we should have thought our attack plan through here a little better. Um, Here's where it gets interesting. So the Imperial Army the Imperial Army is Charles V's army, having obviously just won the battle, you'd think they'd be all like in the throes of victory, right? Like they're having a good time. Nope. There's this little problem. There's no funds to pay the soldiers.
Oh, were we supposed to requisition that?
Uh, well, this seems to be a problem since right about this time, Henry VIII dips out because, he's got stuff going on back home, and it leaves Charles in a bit of a lurch. Now, I don't know if Henry VIII dipping out is the exact reason why all of a sudden Charles V can't pay anybody, but it sure does line up really nice. Like maybe Henry VIII was funding a little more than they thought. Um, so we have that going on. Now, for some context, the Imperial Army consists of 6,000 Spaniards, 1,400 Landsknechts, which they fight under George von Frudensberg. These guys are German mercenaries. The section of Italian infantry, and they also have on their side the powerful Italian Cardinal Pompano Colonna and Luigi Gonzaga. And then there's some cavalry under the command of a man called Fernando Gonzaga and Filbert, the Prince of Orange, because once again, the Prince of Orange has to be involved in the middle of everything. Now, because this whole awkward family affair um, wouldn't be complete if I didn't bring in the one cousin whose religious beliefs are slightly different than everybody else, Martin Luther himself is against this whole idea of both attacking Rome and the Pope. Like, hey guys, maybe we don't. Like, maybe we don't be violent. I don't have to agree with the Pope to be like, well, maybe we should just leave the Pope alone. Which feels wild to me to have the context that at any point in this story Martin Luther was involved, but he was. So the problem is some of his followers view the Pope and the Pope's capital city as a target, for religious reasons.
I mean, you say religious reasons, I just say reasons.
Yeah. There's also outlaws, and also the League of Cognac also has its own deserters who team up with the Imperial Army. So you have this sort of wild hodgepodge of army. And let me tell you what they did next. So these 34,000 troops throw a little mutiny, and they force their commander, A1 Duke Charles III de Bourbon, to lead them to Rome. They're
Oh, we've
thinking,
got the Bourbons in here too.
I'm telling you, it is a whole family affair.
So you were
So,
just kind of going through being like, oh, check, check, check.
yeah, oh, okay, okay.
Now, I have a question. Didn't you say in every conflict there's like a couple of Irishmen just bumming about?
It's always you're gonna have one Scot always. I'm
Okay.
sure
What,
one
did
of
you
Henry
find your
VIII's
Scot?
men stay around. I didn't, but don't think I'm not looking because I was wondering the same thing as I was writing my notes, but I was so tired that I was like, if I don't get through the main portion of this, she'll kill me. Um, so his men, they're thinking like, hey, Rome's an easy target. It's a little bit politically unstable right now, and this situation makes for wonderful pillaging. So, late April, it's like the 20th. Bourbon sees an opportunity to attack when political chaos breaks out. So basically, what's happened is there's a rebellion in Florence against the powerful Medici family, the family the Pope comes from. And this sort of distracts the Pope's allies. And the Duke sends a message to Pope Clement basically saying, sorry, I can't control my soldiers. They're forcing me to march for Rome. I am literally like their prisoner. I'm like, I'm not even their leader anymore. Like, I'm their prisoner. People who witness these events and historians since don't buy this excuse one little bit. They think he was lying and very much wanted to attack Rome. So,
I mean, you
as
know,
his
he had one very charismatic general who was like, look, if I forced you at gunpoint, I won't. But if I did, you couldn't stop me, could you? I couldn't. Well, just
like
write it
I got
down.
this I got this dagger.
I
Like I
mean,
could
like,
just
let's just lie and say I did.
I mean, I'm gonna pillage my way out of it. They're never gonna find me. So
Right. Like,
call it good.
let's just have a good time, bub.
Right. Um, so as his army moves towards Rome, his soldiers, who are poorly disciplined, loot and destroy several towns along the way. By early May, they reach the walls of Rome itself. So, for some context here, fighting on the side of Rome, basically, it doesn't have that big of an army to defend it. It's only got like 5,000 local militiamen led by this guy called Renzo de Suri and around 189 Swiss guards that are loyal to the Pope. I need you to know that the side quest the Swiss guard took me on yesterday was ridiculous.
But
But
see,
anyway,
I really only know what I know about them from the one Archer episode where he thinks he's going up against a couple of people in like some frilly pants and like a
yeah,
pike, and it's like, no, they're fully trained, basically mercenaries now. They're
yeah, that's ex
fully capable.
nailed it. Your episode of Archer nailed it. Um, the Swiss Guard have been guarding the Pope since the early 1500s. Like it's tradition. That's what they do. Um, Now what the city does have going for it is it has these huge Illyrian walls and some really substantial artillery, which the invading army does not have. But there's a couple problems here. Um, Bourbon knows that if he's going to sack Rome, they need to do it fast so they're not stuck between the besieged city and the League's army that's waiting on the outside.
Between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah. Okay. So on May 6th, the Imperial Army hits the walls, and I'm going to butcher this, and I'm so sorry, at Gianicolo and the Vatican Hills with full force. In the chaos of the attack, the Duke of Bourbon was mortally wounded. Now, to his discredit here, he's wearing his iconic white cloak. The purpose of this iconic white cloak is so that his men can spot him easily. But, like, guess what? So can everyone else,
Yeah. And for that guy,
right? Yeah. So,
make that white
according
cloak
to
red.
pretty much, according to his own retelling, the famous artist Ben Benvenuto Cellini, he's defending Rome. He fires the shot that kills the Duke and injures Filbert of Chalon, which is the Prince of Orange, or a member of the House of Orange. When the Duke fell, he was the last respected leader in the imperial ranks, and it's gone. Once the walls are breached later that day, the discipline completely collapses among the soldiers.
Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. They were barely being held together by the, oh, I've been held against my will. Oh, I died.
Yeah,
Okay, I just want to make
barely.
sure I'm tracking.
Yeah, like barely. They were just fighting for their life, those commanders were. But once he dies, all that's left to hold them together just immediately evaporates amongst the common soldiers. Filbert of Orange, he tries to take command, but he doesn't have the reputation or the clout to really lead, and his authority pretty much crumbles. Meanwhile, in what would become known as the stand of the Swiss Guard, the Swiss and the remaining defenders make a final desperate stand at the Teutonic Cemetery inside the Vatican. Their captain, a man called Caspar Royst, was wounded in the fighting and later fled to his home, only to be killed by Spanish soldiers in front of his own wife.
He's like, I just want to die in my bed.
Pretty much, yeah. Now, the Swiss, they fight with a ferocity, but they are hopelessly outnumbered, and most are wiped out. A handful of survivors, roughly 147 Swiss guards, along with some refugees, they pull all the way back to St. Peter's Basilica, but those who reach the steps are slaughtered by what history says was 20,000 attackers. I'm
So
not,
just a handful.
yeah, it's that seems like a lot for that amount of men, but okay. At this point, only 42 members of the Swiss Guard still stand.
40?
42.
Okay, so we're playing with some like battle of marathon numbers.
Yeah. And they are led by a man called Hercules Goldie. And this small band managed to hold off the Habsburg troops long enough to protect the Pope's escape along the Pasito de Borgo. And this is like it's an elevated secret corridor that connects the Vatican to the Castel St. Angelo. So they're basically like taking him through the tunnel to get him out. It's him and these 42 guys. According to the Swiss National Museum, they say, quote, 42 of the scapees were Swiss guards under the command of Lieutenant Hercules Goldie from Zurich, and one was Pope Clement VII himself. The escape was successful. The guards and the Pope reach Castel St. Angelo unscathed. After which, 1,000 of the city's remaining defenders were executed. And then things quickly dissolve into absolute chaos
I'm glad it
because it
waited till
wasn't
now.
right. Once the resistance is crushed, the looting explodes. Churches, monasteries, the cardinals' palaces, church officials' homes, they're ransacked and wrecked.
How
Soldiers,
many finger bones of saints do you think wandered away in pockets?
dude, I had the same question. It was worded differently, but I was like, I wonder how many relics walked away.
I
Like,
like how you wanted to know relics, and I'm like, specific finger bone
like,
relics.
how many pinkies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me the
Uh,
phalange count.
I'm gonna need 27. I think it was 27. So the soldiers, they don't care who you were, pro-imperial cardinals, they're literally paying to protect their own stuff while the rest of the army just runs wild. They're like, yo, I will pay you to protect my house right now.
I feel like that. I think it's time to just give up your worldly possessions and just disappear into a tunnel.
You would think. Now, you've got the everyday Romans that live in Rome too. They get dragged into the horror. Women are assaulted. Sick people that are in hospices are killed. High profiles of the emperor himself, they're not safe either. The German Landsknight, many of whom are Lutherans, show a special sort of intense hostility towards any Catholic holy places. They don't just loot the churches, they desecrate them. Holy relics are defiled, sacred art smashed, and they even stage a mocking version of Catholic rituals. At one point, a prostitute is thrown into priestly robes and plopped on St. Peter's throne while soldiers shout things at her. And then, according to the Catholic Church, they commit the worst of crimes, and someone
Gives the
carves the
prostitute
name.
pants.
No, that would be awesome. Someone carves the name Luther into the wall under one of their paintings, and it wouldn't be discovered for like 500 years.
You
I know.
know, yeah, I
Hmm. Yeah.
didn't starve babies,
They
didn't
just,
didn't punch a widow in the face, wrote a name on the wall that you didn't even see for a bit of time.
for several hundred years, yeah, they're real mad about that. They're still salty about it.
You know what? Give me a magic marker. I'm gonna become immortal.
We're gonna solve this problem right quick. Now, the brutality, it doesn't stop with buildings. Clergy are targeted personally, monks are mutilated, nuns are raped, and priests are killed. Even though, as I mentioned earlier, Martin Luther himself, he is against all this violence, and the German troops' actions are fueled by this, rolling religious anger of the air. And symbolism plays a role, of course. So attacking the church leaders and sacred sites, they're meant to send a message. But honestly, a lot of the pillaging is just done because they want their money. Soldiers would capture people and hold them for ransom. The richer the captive, the bigger the payout. So,
Yeah,
that
I have a
doesn't change.
feeling it doesn't, it's like I just need my wages were this amount per week times
Mm-hmm.
I've been out on campaign for 52 weeks. So if I could
Mm-hmm.
just get that with and just contribute to my 401k, I have a feeling they're just like I'm just gonna go
Mm-hmm.
for broke.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting also. Then on May 8th, Cardinal Pompano Colonna, who absolutely hated Pope Clement VII, marches into Rome with his followers, mostly peasants seeking revenge from previous looting by papal forces. When he sees how badly the city has been trashed, he is genuinely moved, taking in civilians at his own palace and trying to restore a bit of order. Slowly, the pillaging eases as his authority takes hold, but I wouldn't say it really totally stops. Okay, the Vatican Library actually survives this event because in a major unexpected plot twist, my guy Filbert, he sets his camp up there. And so I guess for whatever reason, people just leave it alone. And after 3 days of chaos, he tells his soldiers basically, chill, stop looting. But they don't listen and they keep ransacking stuff for like an extra 5 days, but apparently not the library. So good for us, I guess. But
I mean,
meanwhile,
the library is not necessarily known for having diamonds.
no, just 53 miles of archival history. The stuff we'd be interested in seeing.
Yes, but also I would need to be in the right frame of mind. If I'm in a pillaging frame of mind, I'm not going to be going, but where's biographies?
Could you point me to is it under B?
I'm looking for a self-help.
Put St. Francis of Assisi maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I just self-help myself to a bunch of pilfered goods, but now I need to really work on something different.
Do you have cookbooks? Hmm. Meanwhile, my guy Pope Clement, he has been stuck as a guest, not by choice, in the Castile St. Angelo for like 6 months. Now, around June 1st, so the Pope gets imprisoned in the Castile for about 6 months. But in June, so just a few weeks after all of this starts, a couple of dudes roll up with reinforcements in Monterossi, which is just north of Rome. But since the Imperial troops are like basically out of control, these guys decide to play it super safe. So like no easy ones were had. They were like, meh, you know what? We'll just hang out right here. By June 6th, Clement decides, okay, fine, whatever. I will pay a massive ransom of 400,000 ducati just to stay alive. At which point, he also hands over several areas of papal power to the Holy Roman Empire. Now, for whatever reason, I'm unclear why this is, only one of these places, Medina, actually ends up changing hands. Others just sort of go, like, get absolved back into their own, what they were doing before. Um, Now, Venice isn't going to sit this out, and they swoop in and they take Servia and Ravenna. And long story short here, places change names or they change hands, but life goes on as usual. But even after all this treaty signing is done, even after the Pope pays this stupid ransom, the pillaging doesn't stop.
Oh,
It goes on
really?
for months.
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 By this point, do these soldiers even know where they live? They've been blackout drunk, just knocking
Chilling in
everything.
Rome. Yeah, yeah. To sum it up, before this disaster, Rome was the place to be for art, culture, Renaissance humanism, with artists and thinkers flocking there for like papal commissions. The victims numbered in the tens of thousands. Afterward, the population plummeted from greater than 55,000 to around 10,000.
Oh, so only
Yeah,
1 in 5 are alive.
basically, yeah. Survivors, like artists included, they flee. Libraries, ancient treasures, and cultural prestige, they're lost or destroyed. 90% of Rome's art treasures were stolen or destroyed during this time, which is
You
wild to me.
you
So yeah, they
know
were walking
some
off with stuff.
super cheap peasant who never made any has like the statue of David or equivalent of in their
Yeah.
living room. Like
Hmm.
they're hanging coats off it.
It's like the hat rack. Like it's where the
Yeah.
extra laundry goes. It's not quite dirty, but it's not clean.
And it's like then you end up like willing it to your children and they're like, I don't want it. Like they don't
Yeah.
understand the value of it, and so it just ends up in a landfill.
Or like a charity shop 500 years later, and somebody on Antiques Roadshow was like, "Well, we've been looking for this for a minute."
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so it seems fair to say that many of the invaders succumbed to the plague because that swept through Rome in the summer of 1527.
I was wondering when God was going to stand up for his holy city.
He brought the plague. Um, Politically and religiously, things shift hard. The Pope loses all kinds of clout. He basically has to cozy up to Charles V and ends up blessing decisions that reshape Christianity, like rejecting the annulment that helped spark the English Reformation. Because remember when I told you Henry VIII had dipped out?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, he was trying to get the Pope to he was trying to stay on the Pope's good side so he would annul his marriage to Catherine of Aragon. That said, this event marks the symbolic end of the Italian Renaissance and helps lock the divide between Catholic and Protestant Europe. To this day, the Swiss Guard commemorates the horrors of that day with the swearing-in ceremony for new recruits, which takes place every year on May 6th in Rome.
Wow.
I brought you some unhinged sacking of Rome history.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. It wasn't a ferret, but it was fun.
I mean, look, they can't all be ferrets.
Or ducks.
I mean,
We
and
love you, Sergeant
honestly,
Seawash.
God bless Sergeant Seawash. And if you're wondering what the heck that was, let me pull this up for you. That was a
Wait.
story Angie told about Sergeant Jack Seawash Cornelius the Duck from episode 65. The episode is titled Wing to Wing Combat.
He gets a medal for it.
He
Love that
does.
for us.
And if you're thinking, holy crap, I want to get more involved. I want to understand where this is. We actually have a Patreon now that you can join. You can get ad-free versions of this. We actually also share the spreadsheet. So you can
The
kind of
one.
go, wait a minute. When did they talk about the Vonage manuscript? I want to know about the aviatrix that they've covered.
We do love an aviatrix.
We do love an aviatrix. Or maybe you're trying to figure out when we covered Stonewall. These are all in the spreadsheet.
It's
Or you
true.
could just go to Google and Godspeed, good luck. Um, but yeah, and if you're thinking, holy crap, I've done all the things, rate, review so that others can find us, subscribe. And on that note, share us with your favorite person who would love to enjoy sacking Rome
With a ferret.
with a ferret. And on that
I'm
note, goodbye.
Bye.